So our next speaker is Professor Harish Kumar Madhyastha. So I take this opportunity to introduce Professor Madhyastha. He is a faculty at the Department of Applied Physiology, University of Miyazaki, Japan. He is holding 2 PhD degrees. He started his career as a scientist in Murugappa Chettiar Research Center, Chennai, where he was a team member of Spirulina Technology Research. Later on, he pursued postdoctoral research at Miyazaki University that culminated in a faculty position at the Department of Applied Physiology at the University of Miyazaki from 2006. His current research interests include generation of novel platforms for delivery of nano-sized biomaterial payloads for regenerative diseases. His academic credentials are credited with H value of 27, Clarivate analytical cumulative impact factor of 167.5, and RG score of 31.8 with 74 Sci Index publications and 6 international patents. He is also actively involved in many international projects, including ongoing Indo-Japan scientific and academic collaborations. He is a fellow of Biotechnology Research Society of India, fellow of Royal Biological Society London. He is an officially recognized Indo-Japan academic spokesperson of University of Miyazaki and engaged in outreach programs to further strengthen the cohesive relationship between Indian academicians and University of Miyazaki, Japan. So with this, I invite Professor Madhyastha for delivering his talk.
So thank you, Professor Deepak and Professor Jadhav for the kind invitation of this project, this seminar and virtual conference. Fine. Yeah, today I'm going to talk with the surface modified colloidal nanoceuticals. It is, gold quercetin conjugate during the mimic wound healing. Why mimic wound healing? It is in vitro models to study whatever the drugs which we are interested for the regenerative medicine in the future course of action after particular in vivo studies. My name is Madhyastha Harish Kumar. This is my email. So please take down email and have the continuous interaction after this conference also. I am available 24/7. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk with this background of this my paper. It is long back we published in the Colloids and Surfaces CA in 2018, where we have synthesized the quercetin gold nanoparticles and studied its basic actions. All properties, preliminary biological characterizations already published in this work. Next. Next, yeah. So in this one, what is the functionality nanoparticles? It is this, we have the core shell, either it is of the metal or silica or liposome or whatever it is. Then we have the surface modification with the various molecules or a propertized materials or some antigens or some the shape recognition modules or some the signaling for the biotheranostics agents or biocompatible drugs, linker molecules, linker polypeptides, linker proteins, so many things we can have after the proper tuning in the surface. Next. So we hypothesized that when you have the core AU with the surface modified quercetins, if you treat the fibroblast cells, whether it is have the activated fibroblast or not. Now, what is the particular biointerface mechanisms? That black box we wanted to know. Because, next. So my area is mainly focused on the regenerative medicine, particularly the diabetic and normal wound healing systems. We have the diseased skin here, whether we can form into the normal skin after applying with the surface modified nanoparticles, which are particularly conjugated with many useful drugs, either of the natural drugs or the synthetic drugs. So we hypothesized that AU quercetin nanobiomolecular interface during the in vitro wound healing has some effect or not. Next. So in the present study, we have depicted the regulatory pathways involving the wound healing process. And here we confirm that influence of the microRNA 21, SMAD2, 3, SMAD4, SMAD7, and also the wound healing process treatment of this particular conjugate as a therapeutic agent. This is in vitro studies. In vivo studies are going on. What is the quercetin? Quercetin belongs to flavonoid family. It is known very well. It has a 3 rings and 5 rings hydroxyl groups. And the phytochemical components in it have the remedial effects on the wound healing, particularly. Of course, it has several other properties also, but my interest is whether it has a particular effect on the wound healing or not. Basic problem with the quercetin or any kind of flavonoid is it is bioavailability is very less, and but biocompatibility is more, and it has the high elite property of the cytotoxic effect, and it is not. And efficient drug delivery vehicle can be proglaminated with this quercetin. Of course, AU is an antibacterial agent because it is a metal. Next. Fine. What is the wound? It is in the medical term, it is a pathological state where the tissue becomes separated or destroyed. That is one thing, and resulting the loss of the body or substance associated with the function impairment. The reverse function of this one is healing. Of course, we have to gradually modify those defect surface into the healing with the normal shape. Otherwise, it doesn't have proper functions in the body functions, or a tissue damage will be there. This is a schematic, a wound, and there is a wound, and bring back into the original slice of original tissue as it is in the original shape. Next. So there are several classification of wound. One is the physiological wound. It is called the menstrual cycles and lochia. The lochia is the postpartum bleeding. When there is a childbirth process is taking place, there is a postpartum bleeding will be there in the body. It is called a lochia. It has to heal within 24 hours. Otherwise, there is a severe postpartum bleeding system, and ultimately patients may die. Another one is the pathological. It is ulcer, brachial plexus injury, diabetic neuropathy, brain aneurysms, and ischemia. This is the pathological internal wounds. And there is a pathological external wound like skin injury, bone injury, burn injury. The burn injury has both two types. One is the closed wound and open wound. I am particularly interested in the open wound, which is exposed to the environment. It is a dermal wound systems, particularly with the diabetic conditions and non-diabetic condition. Next. So this is the types of wound. It is the internal wound and external wound, as said in the previous slides. It is what is the implications of this wound? The internal wound has the impaired circulation leading to the venous and arterial ulcer, ultimately the gangrene and maybe amputation in the later stage. And the neuropathy triggers the foot ulcers and Charcot joint disease. Of course, we lose the sensation of the tissue ends like fingers and other things. Another one is called tissue inflammations, the genesis of the tissue degenerations. Of course, these are all the internal wounds, pathological wound. The external wound is the closed ended. There's a lot of bleeding and large bruises, chances of the bone fractures, and compartment syndrome in the body, particularly the diabetic patients. And the open wound has the good platform for the infections, loss of functions, scar formation, and decrease the body deformity. If it is a permanent, unhealed or improperly healed, this one, and of course it has the bad appearance. None of them want a bad appearance in the outer body. The next. So answer is the coronated metal. Can we have some coronated metals or not? Of course, this is the metals system. We have the coronated systems with the natural systems or from the drugs or whatever it is, which is of the particular interest. Fine. So next one is we predicted that the quercetin, as I said earlier, the quercetins has the alanine 72 and alanine 142, glycine 142, and alkyl 142. Which has the particular binding site with the gold metals. This is the bioinformatic predictions, and we did the functionalization studies by the time, where you can see there is a clear nano-sized increase in the TEMS after the functionalization of the quercetin with AU metal. Fine. Next. So fibroblast cells are the major one of the target cells which has the cumulative and collaborative functions with various cells, particularly with the keratinocytes, platelets, microfibroblast, capillaries, and macrophages. through the various signaling pathways, TNF alpha, growth factor mediated, angiotensin, and TGF. And I am interested in the TGF beta and how the fibroblast communicate to the keratinocytes and keratinocytes communicate back to the fibroblast to the IL-1. Next. So this is the after the treating with the self-operative, the untreated white cells have the particular cells. Of course, it is a very small one. And AU treated cells, the cell has AUNP has a little toxicity towards the fibroblast morphological cells, but AUNP, when correlated with the quercetin, it has found back into the normal cells. Next one. And endpoint toxicity shows that the various doses of the AUNP. Here we considered AU microgram per liter in AU ppm level as a 0.05, 1, 5, and 10. Of course, 10 has the severe toxicity level to the cells in percent in the terms of the viability of the cells. It is decreased, but 5 ppm has increased. The AU quercetin conjugated cells gradually increased. But AUNP alone shows the decrease in the cell lines. This is the time period. So here we confirm that 5 ppm of the cells at 8 hours time is not toxic to the fibroblast cells. Next. So, as I said earlier, we wanted to know the communication between the keratinocytes and fibroblast cells. With the here, fibroblast with the TGF beta and ET1 converts into the protofibroblast with the elastins, and with the final molecules of the TGF beta, it converts into the myofibroblastins, which increases the tension of the newly formed tissues. This tension rate, which is more than 3 index, is the good reformed tissue. You can see in this molecular cellular medicine of the 2017, I explained what are all the how tensions with the treatment of these various drugs has increased in the newly formed tissues through the communication from the keratinocytes and fibroblast altogether. Then these are all the pathways. And next one, yeah. Here we did that TGF beta, both protein as well as the Western blot, the protein as well as the gene, cellular gene level, with the different concentration of the AU conjugated quercetins. Of course, here 10 microgram per liter, 10 ppm of the AU shows the little increase, significance increase than the other cells. It is the with the gene at RT-PCR studies, and but in the protein did not show the much increase. But of course, in the 10 ppm level, it has significantly decreased, but not severe like the quercetin alone. Next. Is that video, the co-culture cell culture, is it working? If it is there, please play that one. Yeah. Yeah. Here, what we have done is that this is the wild fibroblast where the TGF beta plus, it is the normal fibroblast cells. Here, we have two kinds of the cells. One is the normal fibroblast, which is gray in color. Another one is TGF beta minus. We knocked down with the gene editing tool and labeled with the green fluorescent proteins. And we co-cultured the both cells together and did the migration pattern in live conditions. Here we can see that this normal fibroblast in the plus condition moved fast, whereas in the green color one, which is the minus TGF minus condition, did not move fast, which confirms that TGF beta is necessary for the cell migrations. Why? Because of the various binding and skeletal proteins like vimentin and actin molecules. This is the TGF beta minus, where the actin and vimentin is completely denatured. This is the control cells. Fine. This we have seen, this we published the materials today in 2019. Fine. Next. And this is the, so once we confirm the TGF beta is necessary, and does it have any SMAD crosstalk, which is that the SMAD is another transcriptional factor molecule proteins, which has important for the wound healing. And how it is then is the TGF-beta, there are three families, beta-1, beta-2, beta-2, beta-3 has the receptor, binding protein with the receptor in the membranes, which increases the MAP3 kinases up to 7, and SMAD2 or 3 or 1 or 5 or 4 or 7, 7 is the inhibitor of the SMAD7, increases the migration of the SMAD4 into the nucleus and transcriptional regulation taking place in the nucleus by the induction of various genes. Next. And we did the same with the what is the SMAD2, SMAD3, and SMAD4 protein analysis. In all cases, 5 ppm of the gold quercetin treated cell shows the increase of the SMAD3, SMAD4 and SMAD3, but not SMAD2. But SMAD2 is in still lower concentration. 1 ppm has the highest activity. Sure. Next one. And if it is increased in the SMAD2 and 3 and 4, if it is increased in the nuclear total protein after the treatment of the AU gold quercetins, where it has to go? Either it has to degrade in the ubiquitous proteasomal degradation levels, or it has to migrate into the nucleus to increase the various gene transcriptional levels. Yes, we found that this is a SMAD2, there is no changes. SMAD3 has gone into the nucleus. Here you can see, and light pale green colors, and SMAD4 no. So SMAD3 increased, SMAD3 migrated into the nucleus. But why SMAD2 and SMAD4 did not go into the nucleus? Because of the overexpression of the SMAD7 in the 1 ppm level of the gold quercetin nanoconjugate treated cells. Because the SMAD7 is the inhibitory actions for the, or it is called a speed breaker for the migration or the transmigration of the SMAD2, 3, and 4. So this is the reason that while increase of the SMAD7 did not have any effect on the SMAD3, but it has the cumulative effect on the inhibitory action on the SMAD2 and SMAD4. Next. So complication in the wound healing, as I said earlier, TGF-beta and IL-1 is most important. It has the transcommunication between the keratinocytes and fibroblast cells. We hypothesized that, next. Hypothesized that if diabetic condition is there, it is a proven data that TGF-beta increases in the diabetic conditions. So that if there is an increase in the diabetic condition, TGF-beta oversecretion will be there. It has the ultimate effect on the keratinocytes, and keratinocyte growth factor released into the cytoplasm through the IL-1 increase. And if there is an increase in the TGF-beta, it is epithelialization of the new cells, new tissue will not be taking place, so that healing will not be proper. This is the hypothesis, complication with hypothesis. Next one. So we put ourselves the question that does it have any applications on the cell migration pattern? Because cell migration is the initial or the first stage of the cell tissue regeneration in the wound healing. Fine. Next. So once again, we put the miRNA level both at the miRNA 21 and because in earlier publications we proved that miRNA 21 is overexpressed in the diabetic in the patient's care. In the patient's cohort studies, we proved that one and published long back. And we wanted to know whether it has any implication on the miRNA 21, and this is the result where it has, yes, 7 ppm, 10 ppm has the highest activity of the miRNA 21 total expressions. Next. So this is the mimicking wound healing stretches. This is the control, 0 hours controlled and 8 hours controlled. 0 hours controlled and 0 hours controlled with the both control as well as the AU quercetin treated cells. There is no migration of the cells, whereas in the after the 8 hours conditions, AU quercetin nanoparticle treated, there is a clear migration of the cells. Yes. Next. So this is the Z-Stack videography instrument. What we are taking the live video cells. Next one. In the first one is this block is the control one. This is the quercetin alone treated one. This is the quercetin conjugated treated one. So if you see that migration of the cells in all three cases, and here cells which are treated with the AU quercetin group shows the highest migration of the cells, because here wound is almost completed. Here there is a still gap is there. Quercetin treated, of course, quercetin alone doesn't, it is almost equivalent or little less than the control cells, whereas in the quercetin gold conjugated cells has the edge cell migration. Why? We asked ourselves question, why it is so? Because these edge cells in the wound edge cells has the highest stressed cells because of the highest reactive oxygen species production in the cell. In the edge cells, because it is directly exposed into the oxygen tension in the environment or in the media. So this quercetin is the antioxidant. We hypothesize that quercetin being an antioxidant is a preventive action for the further degeneration of the cells, edge cells, which is directly exposed into the environment or the oxygen tensions. So that quercetin in one way helps as the antioxidant molecules, and which is being captured by the AU metal. AU metal is a good antibacterial or anti-stress molecule also. So that this helps is the lowering the inflammatory molecules. So we proved that AU quercetin conjugated system is better than the quercetin alone and control, and as well as in the control. Next. So in nutshells, that in the fibroblast cells, the conjugations in the fibroblast cells increase the SMAD complexes, and which prevents the 2, 3, 4, which prevents the migration to the this one, which increases the miRNA-21, and would independently induce the cell migration, because there is no except pre-miRNA-21, none of the other speciation of the microRNA-21 did not increases. Of course, it is already published just some 3 weeks before we published this one. So next one, take-home message is, I always emphasize this one. Of course, we do in the laboratory, we do so many biomechanical or biochemical and pathway signal transduction mechanism, and all other things are good for the academic one. But if it is come to the society, if it is come to the patients, always it lingering into my mind that so many nanomaterial based products are available in market, and it is been authenticated by FDA also. So my question is, if it is accumulated regionally in the tissues or in unknown portions, what will happen? Of course, there are many publications or many hypotheses are available. It is excreted either in the urine or in the sweat or in the some other sweat and urine is the major things. But if not, if it is after all, it is more than some 10, less than 100 nanometers size. If it is going on accumulating in some specific tissues, what will happen? Our body is, tomorrow our body will be a gold mine or a silver mine or a zinc or whatever it is, metal mine. Once all our scientists, we should think about that proper excretion and should not accumulate in the body. That is the one, my ultimate aim of the all these nanomaterial studies. So if you want to read further, this is the latest publications we published in RSC Advan just 3 weeks before. So thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu. This is Japanese one. Thank you.
So thank you, Professor Harish, for giving the talk. So now any questions?
Sir, one question.
Yeah.
I'm Anirudh from Pharmacy Department only. This is an
Yeah.
excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Do you have any comment, because you are a expert in this field? Do you have any comment on the availability of the tumor matrix which is in the wound area, and the effect of the non-availability of tumor matrix, not tumor matrix, tissue matrix, for the migration and the wound healing process? That, as that means, to be more clear, that the cells are there, that this fibroblast, keratinocytes, their precursor cells, everything is there. We are giving treatment with something. And what is the requirement of a extracellular matrix in that wound bed for proper wound development, means wound healing?
Yeah, because ECM matrix, especially the MMPs, so that is most important for the proper anchoring of this fibroblast and keratinocytes particularly. These two are the anchoring cells. That is most important. MMPs as an anchoring molecule is most important for the proper migration of the cells. That is most important. So in one of our previous publications, we have done what is the relationship of the particular another on the fluorescent protein. It is called phycocyanin. We did the MMP's expression in the artificially created wound bed. The 2D cultures, we cultured the keratinocytes, fibroblast, and macrophage together. Then we applied that one and we did the MMP expressions. And MMP expressions were very much increased when you add particularly this some kind of natural product based medicines.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, this is Swati from Pharmacy Department. Sir, just a small query that you recently told that you have a co-cultured macrophages, fibroblasts together. Can you suggest something that if we have some polymeric bed or so, and if we want a co-culture system, then how we can proceed with that? Apart from Transwell, other than that, if we can have any option.
No, you can have this collagen coating to the if you are doing with the 2D cell cultures, we can have manually, we can coat with the collagens, one thing, and gelatins, second thing. Nowadays, one German company, it is called Mu-Ibid culture vessels are available. In that one, if you have the tailored made coating also we can have, or you can have layered coatings, or you can have the compartmentalized coating. I want left to right, 1 centimeter of the gelatin and 1 centimeter of the collagen. Then you can, or you can have 50% volume by volume or weight by weight based. This one also we can have.
Okay, sir. So one more doubt I have.
Yeah.
Sir, as TGF beta is important for migration and myofibroblast differentiation. Sir, at times myofibroblast differentiation may lead to scar formation also. So
yes, I expected this question.
Sir, is there any specific place like where we can say that, okay, now after myofibroblast differentiation, this will stop? Is there any specific marker or so? To be simple, how we can confirm that if we are targeting scarless wound healing, then what should we check also?
So scarless wound and scar formation is the one thing is myofibroblast overactivation is the one phenomena. Another one is, and this is the last, scar formation is the last stage of wound healing. right? In that one, major players are the keratinocytes. Keratinocytes are there because of the keratinocyte growth factors, overexpression of the KGF, keratinocyte growth factors 1 particularly, which has the dynamic role in the scar formations. We should have a kind of what you call time-lapse drug delivery systems. Time-lapse drug delivery systems. Suppose if you conjugate, of course, quercetin helps in the fibroblast migrations. But quercetin may not be a good agent. May not be, I don't know. It may not be a good agent for the KGF productions. So that in the tertiary or the bilayer or the tertiary layer of your conjugations, you have some molecules which inhibit the overexpression of the KGF or overactivation of the keratinocytes. In that way, we can control the scar formations.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So thank you, Professor Harish, for sharing
Thank
your
you.
insights
Thank
and
you.
sparing your time.
Thank you. Thank you.